The Galaxy Note 8. It's the giant phone from Samsung. While not the biggest selling device, that would be the Galaxy S line, it's the flagship device in the Samsung lineup. The Galaxy Note 8 had a lot to live up to after what happened with the Note 7, and it really needed to hit a home run with the new Note 8. I've been using the Note 8 in some capacity over the last 4 months, and I feel it's a really good time to see if the Note 8 is still as good as I thought it was back then 4 months ago. The new deep sea blue colour like you see here is a real looker, and people often say it's a good looking device, and that really is because it is. The giant 6.3 inch slab of glass that has very minimal bezels and the smaller curves on the edges of the display, which I prefer over the S line, just make it look great. The curves also make it a little easier to handle, though it's never going to be a one-handed device, and that's okay because it's never meant to have been a one-handed device. The display is amazing. It takes what's good on the S8 and tweaks it again. This is my opinion, but it is the best display on the market, and that includes the new iPhone X display, which is really good in itself. It's so large, bright and vibrant, it makes media an absolute joy to watch, especially when you're using an app that takes advantage of Samsung's video enhancer. Everything just pops, it's super crisp, with awesome clarity. It doesn't matter if it's using the normal setting out of the box of Full HD, or if you change it to Quad HD, it just looks stunning. If Samsung did one thing right, it's screens, and they're head and shoulders above the competition. I mean, just check out the Pixel 2 XL and its LG-made POLED display. You'll see what I mean. The S Pen. Well, I admit, I don't really use it a lot. When I do need it, it's nestled into the phone and it allows me to take the pictures of the work I take and label my measurements or make notes on certain pictures. Modern Dad's actually a designer. For carpentry, nothing special, but still. Anyway, so the S Pen is a value feature that I do miss when not carrying it around with the Note. While it may not be a major factor in someone's purchase decision, it's something that does give you an added benefit once you've had it, and it really is hard to give up sometimes because it can be really, really handy. While we all know that the Pixel 2 camera is the king of cameras right now, the Note 8 isn't any slouch. The camera does produce some really, really nice images, and it goes with a little more saturation in its end results. And though it's not as realistic, it really is eye candy. They look great. Now, it does do a portrait mode through Samsung's Live Focus, and I don't use it very often, and it isn't all that great. But if you do try, you can get some pretty good dramatic shots out of it, but it will take you quite a few attempts. There's one place where the camera does start to fall apart, and it's the same with a lot of devices really, and it's low light performance. It can be questionable at times. It can look like someone's basically took a light coating of Vaseline and smeared it across some of the darkest areas of the picture. It can be quite annoying. Okay, so we do have an elephant in the room, and it's not avoidable, and I'm not going to pretend it's anything other than hot garbage. I mean, straight out of Garbage Town. And to be more precise, it lives on a street named Who the Hell Thought That This Was a Good Idea? You probably already know what I'm talking about, and it's the fingerprint sensor. Even though it's better placed than on the S8, well, maybe not better placed, but it's more recessed, it's still placed in a position that's the most awkward position possible. I don't care how big your hands are, this thing is a hot mess when it comes to placement. And Samsung know this, as they're giving you on-screen reminders to clean your camera before using it, due to your grubby little paws pressing on it. You know, you're trying to use Jedi powers to hit that sensor and you're smearing your camera. Come on, Samsung. I don't believe for 1 minute anyone thought that this was really a good idea, because it's not. So, let's talk about the other way you can unlock your phone. The Galaxy Note 8 came with the iris scanner. Well advertised by Samsung, new way of unlocking your phone, making it even easier. Well, actually, let's not talk about it because that is also hot garbage and worse than the fingerprint sensor. You know, you sit there and you pull the phone up to your face and you look like an idiot, and it fails repeatedly. It's not good, it's not fast, it's just no good. Don't do it. Now I'm used to using the fingerprint sensor, I can hit it every time almost. If every time means 6 to 7 times out of 10. So what I end up doing more often than not is just putting my PIN number in disgust. Then we have the Bixby button. If you use it, then fair play, good for you. All I do is disable it. But with a superior Google Assistant, I don't know why Samsung even bothered. I mean, maybe that R&D money could have been used to put the fingerprint sensor in the right place, maybe. Or give us an iris scanner that actually scans our irises and not my forehead or whatever else it's scanning that is completely wrong. Just an idea. I've heard a lot of people talk about this phone being unmanageable due to its size. Let me tell you, that really gnaws on my man bits. It's a Note. It's always been the biggest phone Samsung make. It's a productivity tool. If you're looking for a one-handed device, then you should be looking at an S8 or something of that ilk. Why would anyone purchase a Note 8 and then complain about the size of it? It's just beyond me, I don't understand it. It's like buying a 2-door sports car and getting it home and realising your 3 kids and wife don't fit. And then you blame the car. Who thinks that way? One thing that's purely personal opinion is software. And while Samsung have made big improvements since the days of TouchWiz and the last couple of iterations of Samsung Experience, it's still a pretty heavy Samsung skin. Now some of this is needed because obviously it's a productivity device, but some of it really isn't needed. What I don't understand is why the manufacturers need to replace extremely good Google apps like the phone app and the Google Messages apps with something of their own that's inferior. I mean, most times Google's apps are just better, so why they don't just use what they have and get on with it? That way it creates uniformity. We do need uniformity with Android. Android already has a severe fragmentation issue, and things like this just add to that. It needs help. Now the software is fast, it's smooth, and it does everything you need at first. I said at first, and I'll get back to that in a little while. The text notification's also pretty neat. I don't use the Edge display at all, as I honestly don't see how it's any faster. For me, it just isn't. In the end, it just looks good. Does what it has to, but adds things that it doesn't need to. What the Note 8 does suffer from is what all Samsung's phones suffer from, and this is what I was talking about a minute ago when I said first, and that's over time, the device does slow. Now it's not as bad as the S6 and the S7, but it's happening, especially on carrier versions. And it can be fixed with a factory reset, but come on, this is a $1,000 device after taxes. We shouldn't have to be resetting our devices after 12, 16 weeks. Samsung really need to take a look at this like Huawei are doing. They're doing their best to prevent this from happening. I've read that the Exynos version really doesn't suffer from this, and it's a shame, because that makes me wish that Samsung used that system on a chip everywhere in the world instead of the Snapdragon that we get here in the United States. Now the one thing that makes this device most unlike any other Note device is the battery. Now, Notes of old I'd be able to power through all day and parts of the day after, and I'm quite a heavy user. This Note, however, I worry that I don't even make it through the day, and at some points I do need to throw it on the charger, just to give it that little bit of a top up. I mean, what's bizarre is that the Note 8 battery is actually smaller than the Galaxy S8 Plus battery, but it's got a little bit of a bigger screen, it's got extra apps running, and then you've got the S Pen as well, extra camera, so there's more stuff going on within the software, but a smaller battery. And while it's around the same as the S8, maybe a touch worse, it's still not a Note battery, and that's a shame, and I don't find it acceptable in a Note device. I mean, what's the point in having a mobile powerhouse productivity device in your pocket when you've got to be concerned or worried about having a charger nearby just in case you're not going to make it? And let me tell you, 9 times out of 10, I won't make it. So, the Note 8, it has its quirks, and so do most phones. 4 months later on, does it still have that sheen from when it was new? Well, yeah and no. I'll never be able to get over that fingerprint sensor position. It's just the most stupid design choice they could have possibly made on this device, especially as they heard the complaints from the S8, and I fully understand that this phone was already well into design, but still, it's just how anyone could think it was remotely a good idea is beyond me. The software is purely user preference, and I'm a stock Android man myself, but I can and I do see how people like the Samsung experience. You get the extra bits, the extra productivity. Now the Bixby button is just a waste of R&D. That could have gone into so many other aspects of the device, like battery, camera, anything really, fingerprint sensor. But no, they went with a Bixby button that most people disable. But where this phone does shine, it's the build quality, and it's right up there with the very best of them. It looks amazing, the glass just melts into the frame, the device is slim with hardly any bezels, the display is the best in the business, just like they have been over the last couple of years. It also has a really good camera, and you'll struggle to take bad shots on it with the right lighting. You'll literally just point and shoot, and 9 times out of 10, you're going to have a good, clean, crisp picture with an image that just pops. It also has an SD card slot, so 64 gig isn't enough for you. Just throw in your SD card, you'll be fine. There you go. It also has a 3.5mm headphone jack. Bravo, Samsung. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not ready to give up my 3.5mm headphone jack. But unfortunately, it's becoming more increasingly that way. I just don't like it. But bravo, Samsung. Hats off. the longer you keep it, the happier I'll be. So the Note 8, it's a great phone, and it's better than the S8 Plus in every single way for me. You get a better camera, or cameras, because obviously this has a dual camera on the back. It's easier to hold, and I don't get the phantom screen touches like I do on the S8 due to the smaller curves on the display. I think it's a nicer design, and the display itself is just better than what it is on the S8. I know it's the same, but they've tweaked it again, and it just looks that little bit more better. It is by far the best display on the market. You're not going to get any better than this. Also, you've got Android Oreo coming out, and that's going to be here pretty soon, and that's only going to help the device with the new things that come with Oreo. So if you have to have a flagship device and you don't care how much it costs, then you're really not going to go wrong with the Note 8, especially if you're already a lover of Samsung devices. And trust me, there's many millions of people that are with you on that. A lot of people love the Samsung phones. So let me know what you think. Have a chat with me in the comments. I'll also be on Twitter with my handle @ModernDad. I'm on the road to hit 1,000 subscribers. This is a new channel for me where the production will only improve as I go along. So please hit subscribe and give me a thumbs up. I really would appreciate it. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace.